Hey everybody, Zian over here from Nintendo Life. Now, the No More Heroes series and Travis Touchdown as a whole have gotten quite popular over the years, at least amongst adults. And even if you've never even played the series, there's a good chance that you've probably at least heard of it. Now, my grandpa would probably be pretty disappointed to have learned that I played the original on the Wii back when I was 15, but I loved every bit of it, and it absolutely stuck with me all these years. Now, a sequel did release on the Wii, but for a long time after, the series basically went dark, and a spin-off did eventually release that sort of revisited the characters and the story, but many of us still wanted a true return to form with a third entry. And it finally happened! So to celebrate the release of No More Heroes 3 on Nintendo Switch, we sat down with SUDA51, the series creator and director of No More Heroes 3, to talk about how this game all happened, some of the finer details with it, and the current state of No More Heroes and Travis Touchdown after No More Heroes 3. But don't worry, we're not going to be covering spoilers in this video. I played the game about halfway through so far, and so we talked about a few things here and there that covered some earlier points of the game, but nothing late game at all. Oh, and if you have to use the bathroom, can you at least wait until Suda gets to talk about the Smash Bros potential? That'd be great. So Suda, I wanted to ask, just to start out, for anybody who's probably watching this interview that's never played the series, is there a way that you could describe No More Heroes, the series in general, in just 3 words?
3つで。
はい。
おお。まず現代のジェダイ。ちょっとじゃあノーモアヒーローズとるっけ？
Is No More Heroes okay for 3 words?
Sure. Sure.
まあそれこそ現代のジェダイでいいかもしれない。
Actually, the answer he gave it pretty much works out to exactly 3 words, both in Japanese and English, which basically means modern day Jedi.
It's been about a decade since or over a decade now since No More Heroes 1 and 2 launched, and now No More Heroes 3 is finally here, and I believe the game takes about 9 or 10 years, or takes place 9 or 10 years after the original. Was that, if that's true, was that a plan always, like in the back of your head, like that you had hopes that, you know, when you wanted to make No More Heroes 3, did you always want to make it, you know, 10 years later? Did you want there to be that gap?
Actually, recently, I've been doing a lot of interviews where people say, you know, I read in an old interview that you said this or this. And to be honest, I don't remember a lot of this stuff, but apparently I said it. One thing that I kind of do remember, actually, is even back when the series first started out, I would sort of compare the No More Heroes series to the Rocky series, the movies, you know? There are obviously a lot of things in the game that I sort of took from the Rocky movies as a sort of homage or sort of based on the Rocky movies, but there are also some elements that sort of just occurred naturally, I guess you could say. For example, when you look at the Rocky movies, there's Rocky 1 and Rocky 2 where, you know, he starts out just a complete, like, underdog, you know, he's not really well known or anything. He's got to really kind of fight his way up to the top. He's kind of scrapping by. And then by the time the third movie came out, he was pretty much, you know, I mean, within the world of the movie, he was pretty much a superstar, you know, and the third movie itself was a lot more sort of, you know, like Hollywood movie-ish, if you get what I mean. And while it wasn't completely on purpose that, you know, we had this timeline where, okay, here's the first 2 years of Travis being an assassin, and then all of a sudden jump to 10 years later and he's older, you know. I didn't plan on doing that from the beginning, but once I realized that that's sort of how the timeline was working out around the time we started making 3, I realized that it really made a lot of sense. And we wanted to present the third game sort of like the third movie in the Rocky series as well, you know, give it a bit more flash and a bit more pizzazz, I guess you would say. So again, it was never really intentional to make the timeline work out the way it did, but I do feel that I'm glad it worked out like this because, yeah, I feel, again, that's just sort of natural for the series and for Travis himself.
And then as far as the actual story goes as well, that No More Heroes 3, for anyone who is listening and is unaware, but it follows Damon and Fu and these galactic superhero aliens. Was there ever a point in development or even just early on where you had conceptualized or that you could even remember a story that, you know, didn't follow Damon and Fu necessarily?
When I first decided to start working on No More Heroes 3, you know, before any of the actual work started, there were probably a lot of different ideas kind of bouncing around in my head. But one of the first things that I thought of was, okay, up till now, Travis had, you know, when he fights in the UAA ranking fights, it was supposed to be basically, it's the United Assassins Association, so it was pretty much for the United States. But I decided, okay, let's maybe bump the level up a bit and make it like a worldwide, Assassin's ranking type fight. And I kind of thought about that for a little while and thought, okay, well, what else can I do with this? What other directions could I possibly take it in? This is, again, still way before we ever actually started work on No More Heroes 3. But one idea that I had was kind of take the series in a completely different direction from the previous games, which was basically what turned out to be Travis Strikes Again. Travis goes inside this world of video games and, he has all these different experiences, has to fight all these completely different types of enemies and, try and take not just the story, but the game itself into a different direction. And then that ended up becoming Travis Strikes Again. So when it finally came time to sit down and think, okay, No More Heroes 3, what are we going to do? I thought, all right, well, Travis has, he's gone into like this video game world and done all this crazy stuff. I want to really do something special for the next one. Like I really want to kind of, bump it up a few notches. So instead of making it like a worldwide Assassin's, ranking battle, how about if I bump it up even further and take it out into space, One of the first things that popped in my mind was, it was from like a scene in Independence Day. Like, Will Smith like opens up a door and he sees in front of him, aliens like attacking the Earth, and he's just kind of like, okay, well, I guess this is what I'm doing now, I had this image that sort of like popped into my head, like all of a sudden of Travis. So it was almost sort of like a first scene in the game, just Travis opening up this door and seeing all this crazy stuff going on with aliens and the world getting attacked, and Travis thinking, okay, this is my battle now. The rest of the game kind of sprung up from there. Yeah, apart from the Travis Strikes Again stuff I mentioned earlier, ever since I really started sitting down and thinking about it, it's pretty much always, at least generally, been about Travis fighting not just, these earthly assassins, but this much larger scale of assassins, these dudes from like other planets and way out in the cosmos and stuff. So it's always basically been along those lines since I first conceived the idea.
And then so recently on Twitter, you made a post about Travis and No More Heroes 3, and you basically said goodbye to him and that No More Heroes 3 would be his final battle. What does that mean for the series and basically for you as Travis Touchdown's you're basically his dad?
Actually, the thing about No More Heroes, the series, and about the thing that I posted the other day was, about, like, as you said, it's, Travis's final battle and, time to say goodbye and everything. The thing about No More Heroes is the IP itself is actually mostly owned by Marvelous. It's not actually ours as in Grasshopper. We're partial owners of it, but we only own a very small percentage. So realistically, it's basically Marvelous's IP. And I always knew that one day, the day would come when we basically have to give this back to Marvelous. One thing that I definitely felt while making Travis Strikes Again, and especially No More Heroes 3, to be fair, I was able to make TSA and No More Heroes 3. They gave me an amazing amount of freedom to basically do whatever I wanted while I made these games. So, they really are games that I made. But one thing that I really felt while making those games was it's really time for Grasshopper to move on and create our own IPs, create our own stories and characters and games that, nobody owns but us, that we're fully in control of. As I said in the tweet, it's time to say goodbye to Travis. Travis, it's his final battle. What I meant with that was basically, it's sort of literally, it's time to say goodbye. I didn't want to have to split up with him, but we kind of had no choice. It was just that the time had come. Not that Marvelous had forced us. It's just I felt that, it's really time for us to go on and do our own thing. And so what I want to do, what I'm planning on doing, is making the next 10 years basically the Grasshopper decade. We're going to create our own IPs. We're going to create our own games, our own characters and stuff, and things that, we're going to own and that we can really be proud of. That's not at all to say that I'm never going to, deal with No More Heroes or Travis again. While I can't say anything concrete at all, it's definitely not unfeasible that Travis would come back again sometime in one of our future games. That's definitely not off the table. But as you said, I'm basically Travis's father. And unfortunately, I'm a father who doesn't have rights to keep living with him anymore. So I kind of had to give up my own kid. Again, it was really, it's a sad and lonely feeling have to split up with this character in this series that I've been working with for so long and put so much into. But I am looking forward to the future, seeing what we're going to do, and hopefully someday being able to see Travis again.
It's just like he's going to college. He'll come back around. He'll visit every so often.
I think that's a really good example, actually. It's kind of like summer vacation or something also, the kid gets out of school, goes to spend summer vacation with his dad, has a bunch of fun, and then has to go back. And it's like, that was a great vacation. Okay, see you again some other time. Yeah, we had a lot of fun, but unfortunately it was time to split. So here we are.
And another question I had then as well, in turn with the series potentially ending, is so I'm about halfway through No More Heroes 3, I think, but there's a moment where Sylvia talks about the cleaners that come in that clean up the carnage essentially, or the leftovers. There's a moment where she says the series is going to keep going, right? We had to give the cleaners a name. because she names the cleaners. And I was curious if there's anything of substance to that necessarily, or the fact that she says that, or if that was potentially a throwback to the first No More Heroes, where in the end credits scene where Sylvia pops up, I think it's after the credits maybe, and she says something about like, oh, too bad there isn't going to be a sequel. I was curious if those moments had any ties together.
I do remember the specific dialogue you're talking about and those scenes and stuff. It's sort of hard to properly explain this or to give a satisfactory answer, I guess you could say. The thing is, you can't really trust Sylvia because she's just that kind of character. For example, in the first game, she said, oh, okay, no, there's not going to be a sequel. And we totally did multiple sequels, we had planned on it and everything. And now when he says, when she says, we've got to get the cleaners' names, what she's implying is that even though the game is saying, okay, it's over, this is the last battle and everything, what Sylvia's implying is that the numbered series is going to continue on. Again, that's not to say that that's definitely never going to happen, but one thing that's really important to remember is basically Sylvia is a liar, and she's just like that. So you can't really put a whole lot of stock into anything she says. So I guess on one hand, you could say there wasn't an especially deeper meaning to it, but on the other hand, at the same time, there may have been. You really can never tell with Sylvia. So that's what she meant by that. But again, yeah, it could mean anything. It could mean nothing. That's just how Sylvia is.
So I was curious, in your eyes, specifically yours, not Marvelous, not Grasshoppers, I suppose yours, or Grasshoppers as well. But do you think Travis could ever actually come to Smash? Or do you think he's too much of a punk? Would he lose some of the things that make him who he is in order to actually get into the roster? If he were to get I don't want to use the word dumbed down, but if he were to censored, I guess maybe very lightly, would that not be something you would want? Because obviously he can't come into Smash swearing up a storm like he does in the video games.
Actually, that's a pretty good question. See, the guy who makes Super Smash Brothers, Sakurai, he's actually a friend of mine. And I feel this is a guy who really loves video games, and he really understands video games. And I feel like he really understands I guess you could say the nuances of No More Heroes and Travis Touchdown as a character. He's already cleared No More Heroes 3. He laughed his ass off at the last boss and everything. I really feel like he gets it. So I feel, put simply, I feel that it would be possible for Travis to appear in Smash Brothers. If he does, I'm assuming it would probably be like the next iteration of it. But it's definitely a possibility because Sakurai, he really understands video games and he understands the character. And I'm really not too worried too much about, as you said, kind of dumbing down or kind of censoring the character a bit, because I feel that he'd be able to work around that somehow without actually losing any of what makes Travis. For example, maybe adding the beep, like when Travis swears, or just, doing something, like playing with the words and stuff to make it a bit less profane, a bit more, family friendly. So yeah, not only do I believe that it would be possible, I also believe that it would be possible without taking away anything at all from the character of Travis Touchdown, precisely because of exactly the kind of guy that Sakurai is.
I apologize if this is a big question, but I always like to ask this. If you had the full reign to take any Nintendo IP and make your own, put your own spin on it and make your own game with those characters or that world, is there anything that comes to mind?
To be honest, I really want to say Zelda, but I know that that's not okay. I know deep down inside me that I cannot make a Zelda. I mean, it's not okay for me to make a Zelda game. That's not all right. So I'm not going to say Zelda. That is a really good question, though. And there's actually a game that I've sort of thought about before, that if I was able to make any Nintendo IP like the way I wanted it, it's called Nazo no Murasame-jo. I'm not sure what the English title of this is or if even one exists, but this is a game that was from Human.
Murasame's Castle?
Yeah. So Murasame Castle, yeah.
That's incredible.
Okay, so that's a game that was from Human, which is the company that I first started out at, before starting at Grasshopper. And I've always kind of had a soft spot for this game, and I always kind of felt like I'd like to go back and maybe revisit it again sometime. So honestly, yeah, if I was able to take any Nintendo game or IP and just completely, make it or remake it, whatever, freely, this is probably what I'd go with, since I know that I shouldn't be making a Zelda game.
That's a crazy game to hear, and it would be cool to see that come back, because I think the last time it was seen was in like Nintendo Land. It had like a little reference, but you're right, since it hasn't been around since the Famicom.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's a reason behind that. As I said, it's from Human, so it was the game that I was actually kind of supposed to make in the first place. So on top of it just being like a really cool game, I think that, I mean, there's also that reason. And also, yeah, I think I could really do something cool with this game if given the chance.
Well, I really hope you get to someday.
Yeah, I really hope so too.
I'd like to give a big shout out to SUDA51 for just actually sitting down and talking with us. Now, I know I edited through all this entire video and everything already to get to this point, but getting the chance to actually sit down and chat with SUDA51, to ask him questions that were on my mind, and just speak with him basically face to face over the internet is an incredible thing. I will never take that for granted. So thank you all so much for continuing to watch our channel and allowing us to do cool things like this to be able to share with you. It means the world to me, and I hope you enjoyed the interview. Feel free to let us know in the comments down below if you've played any No More Heroes games before, if you're a fan of anything else that Suda's done in the past, and let us know down below if you're planning on picking up No More Heroes 3 if you're already into it. And as always, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more content like this, then why don't you go ahead and pull out your beam katana and stab that subscribe button, and then ring that notification bell to be notified whenever we put up a new video. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Zion from Nintendo Life. Stay safe out there, and we will see you next time.